To be fair, ...
To be fair.
If you have to say "to be fair" to justify how your deck's power level is lower than what the person just said, like 14 times every 10 minutes, you're full. Welcome to the very first episode of Somehow the Podcast Has Returned, which is kind of an odd name for the first episode, but I mean, for the podcast to return, I suppose it has to have a beginning. But, yeah, I mean, first fucking one, we're hitting Magic the Gathering because it's something we can go on and on about. That's not too fucking crazy. There's a lot of aspects to Magic the Gathering, the card game. Lore elements, playing with people elements, why you play elements, how we met and started hanging out, whatever. So, like, what, you know, it's beginning as it began, I suppose.
Yeah.
And also, you know, I have some stuff to complain about. So, you know, that's perfect for a freaking a podcast. Actually, I think before we get into anything else, maybe it'd be cool to just kind of mention, like, how we got into Magic. Like, I feel like that's kind of relevant because I think everybody has, like, their own path into it. So I don't think I've ever even asked you, like, off camera how you got into Magic, so.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've ever really discussed how I got into it. So I got into it in high school. I knew of it beforehand. I knew of it probably since, like, the mid-90s. And I think it came out in, like, 1993, maybe.
Okay. So
I knew of it when I was young. I had seen Magic the Gathering cards. I didn't really get into playing it until, like, maybe 2005, 2006. Like, a couple of years into high school. I used to play in the library with my friends. And then kind of fell out of it. I got back into it momentarily when I worked at Target, actually. And then I just kind of completely fell out of it for a while. And then I started getting back into it, I think, right before the pandemic. My friends that I was living with at the time just asked me if I wanted to get into Magic, and then I got into Commander and haven't really looked back since.
Nice.
What about you?
So I definitely never fell out of it, but I also just started in, like, 2022. So
Okay.
It's a little bit less of an endurance test there, but I mean, my path is kind of, well, my path takes us to Vienna, literally, because I was in Vienna staying with some marketing pals, and they both played Magic. And I knew that it was a thing. I played Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was, you know, little. I loved the freaking dual disc. Like, that was so sweet. It sucked to play on because, like, as time goes on, like, you realize, like, if you've never watched Yu-Gi-Oh! They would have, like, this arm-mounted contraption that you could put the cards on, and then you just, you know, be paying attention to it. And in the show that it's from, like, there are holograms, so you know the creatures that are there. There's, like, floating cards, like, above the floor for, like, your face down trap cards and stuff. But in real life, you know, you just have to hold this freaking, like, arm weight out, but it was still really cool. And even, like, near the end of when I had been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Before, it was just ramping up too friggin' much. And now apparently it's just like, you know, oh yeah, turn one, like, and you're dead. Like, you know, it's like, okay, well, it's like playing poker then. You just bam, you know, you just shoot them with a gun. I knew about Magic, but I'd never played it. And, I mean, I was staying with them for free. So obviously I was going to try the game.
Yeah.
And then the one guy, actually, my buddy Adam, bought me my first pre-con. He bought me the deck box. He bought me the sleeves. He bought me the inner sleeves. I've never bought inner sleeves since then. I love you, Adam. I have too many decks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's expensive
I don't think I've
enough
ever bought inner sleeves in my life, to be honest.
Yeah, so it's, you know, I played it there. He got me the zombie deck, not the Grave Danger one, the one with Vilhelt the Rock Cleaver.
Okay.
As the commander, and I mean, I switched him out pretty quickly for Giza and Geralf, but point being, that was it. And then they play competitively, or played competitively, so it's like they had one deck at a time, basically. And so I would get trashed pretty much every time. But, you know, I learned, and that's where I got started, and I think I got another deck before I left Vienna.
That's great.
Which should have been, and I think that was the vampire one. It was like the same set. It was the dude who like floats, Streffen or whatever. And since then, it's become an invested hobby, shall we say?
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. It is an investment.
I like variety over, you know, the strength of the given deck or whatever. I mean, we've talked about it before. There are cards that are really strong that I have in different decks, but I have so many decks that none of them are ever going to be super powerful just because I'm spreading the ultimate whatever cards across all of them. And so I haven't checked recently. I built some more decks recently, or finished some decks recently. I think is maybe a little bit more accurate. But I have about 100 decks right now. And I don't say it to be bragging. I say it because I would say that I have torn apart of the decks that I've made, definitely single-digit amounts of them. Which, considering how many I've made, I think is probably, like, statistically, like, really, really low. Because how many decks do you have at the moment? And what would you say is, like, the general range of decks that you tend to keep around? Because I know that you've torn some decks apart before to, like, put the cards in the other things and so on.
One or two is really... Or I think I've only actually taken apart one.
Oh, okay.
And then I pretty much have just kind of upgraded other ones. Like, I just took one recently. Marred the Stormcleaver. Otherwise known as Guile to all you Secret Lair lovers out there. From Street Fighter. But, yeah, that one I kind of kept the base of it, or the skeleton of it at least, and then just kind of rejigged it around a little. The only one I really took apart fully was Liesa, which I didn't hate. I just realized that it could be a little less clunky.
Okay.
And then I made that into my spirit deck, which is King of the Oathbreakers.
Yeah, that deck. I fucking hated that deck. So, I mean, I think the funny thing about it is the different reasons why people build decks is, I think, like similar to the different reasons people play. Like, I think that how you do anything is how you do everything. I think that there's a little bit of that in Magic too. And so the reason why I have so many decks is because I like playing the different varieties and I love the different flavor. Flavor is what I like the most. And then, like, second to that is, like, the interesting aspect of, well, I guess it's kind of hand in hand. Like, the flavor has to be there. I don't think I have a single deck that's built of, like, cards that I just think are lame, but it's a great mechanic. Because, like, I have to look at these things. Like, I don't want to be bored the whole time. That's why I don't have any merfolk. Sorry, not sorry. Same thing with dwarves. And so, for me, like, that's the thing. It's like, I built a dragon deck, and then it ended up being powerful. I built a spirits deck. It ended up being powerful. I built an Endrick Czar Master Breeder deck because he's the daddy who doesn't pay his child support, or he does, and if you have enough of the creature tokens that he makes, he kills himself. So I'm like, he can't handle, oh yeah, by the way, spoiler alert, we have some pretty freaking, wild humor in this show, so, that's not changing. He kills himself because he can't handle all the child support. So I just have so many. I have a Kraken deck. I'm building an octopus deck. I have multiple zombie decks. I have, this, that, and the other thing. I built a skeleton deck. Because
I didn't even know that was possible.
And that's the thing. Like, it's interesting to me. And I think for me, it comes back to, like, being an author and everything. I like the story aspect of having the deck have the flavor and the theme and so on, and putting that before the mechanics. And for me, it's way more fun to just play like 8/10 of a game and lose, but play the game I want to play and be able to get a lot of my deck out on the board and, you know what I mean? Just see all of my deck. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to play the deck again after I play the game. That's how much time I want to have with that deck, because I play to play, not to win. And I think that definitely alienates me from a lot of play.
I think I get a little more now how you build your decks, because you do go by... you build your decks based on, like, pure flavor. So, like, you'll put cards in purely because they have a name that is just funny because it fits the deck. And if you can make a stupid joke out of it, it's going in the deck because it's just on brand for it.
Worth it.
Is it good? Maybe not.
No, I'll pay 4 more for it too. Yeah, I'll pay 4 more for it, but you're gonna see that card.
But that does make sense, though. I mean, I try to get that way with, like, and mind you, I also play, like, stores and stuff more than you do.
Yeah.
Which is kind of why I have to get my decks to at least be able to keep up with the stores. But I do try to keep a little bit of that humorous element, especially in the fact that I name all my decks, too. And that's the beauty of this game, though, is you can go as far into it or as little into it as you want. And you can do whatever you want with it. So once you start getting into the fan base is where the issues start to come up.
Yeah, and I think even just the differing nature of how deeply you're getting into it as well, because, I mean, I have 100 decks, and I've been playing this game for, I mean, it was, I think, like, April or May that, like, I flew to Vienna in, like, 2022. So it's been 3 years now, but I've been playing Magic for 3 years and I have 100 decks, and I know people who've been playing it for a decade or plus, and they probably haven't even built 100 decks, let alone still have one now.
Yeah.
And so it's like, am I deeper into it? Am I not as deep into it because I don't want to build the more competitive end of it? Whatever, tomato, which is where you have the fan base aspect. Because one issue that I end up having with the more competitive, and I say competitive in the sense of, I mean, if you're just watching this because you've watched, like, another episode, and we've released, like, 300 episodes, and you're going, like, backwards. There are different formats in Magic. The ones that, I play, that we play together, I know that you've played other formats, is called Commander. It's generally for 4 people, and, you have, like, the person that the deck is built around, theoretically at least, and then, you play the whole thing, and there's the actual competitive version called CEDH, because it was originally called Elder Dragon Highlander, and then, much like Creedence Clearwater Revival, it was shortened dramatically. So now it's just Commander. But not even going into full on, like, death war mode. I just find it's like there's this assumption that for a deck to be good, it has to be strong. And I take so much issue with that because, it comes back to, like, the reason you play Magic. I play to play. I don't play to win. I'm not going to not let myself win, right? But I don't play to win. Winning is not my goal. Playing is. And I know people could say, it's like, oh, yeah, sure it is, until it's like, no, I'm the person who has the win con, and I throw it out because I want to keep playing. Like, that's me. You know what I mean? I don't consider it a win to win. So if I can get a full game in, like I was saying before, like if I get enough of the time with my deck that I don't want to play that deck again, that is a win for me. Because I got to fully go through that story. And it's part of the reason why I stopped going to our local game store, is because it just seems like there's always this obsession with keeping up with the magical Joneses. And at least that's my experience with it. And I want to feel like, I don't like the taste of beer, don't at me. But if I did like the taste of beer, I want to be able to crack a cold one with the boys, chill, and play it. That's the vibe I want. You know what I mean?
You're out for casual, we're going to relax and just chill, not go out and go hard on the Chippewa strip, essentially.
Yeah.
For all you Buffalonians out there.
Right?
For anyone listening 300 episodes from now. Also, hi, future me. If we're even still into magic at that point.
You're like all jacked. You're
Hey,
like...
you never know.
It's just like, hey, how's it going, young me? I've seen so much since then. It's gonna be like the Bill and Ted movie where like they're the prison versions of them. Where
Oh my god.
But yeah, I mean, it's just that aspect I think is the thing that normally turns me off with it, because there are people that I've played with that I think they're really cool people, and the way that they play is just not something I'm interested in.
Yeah, and that's fair.
And I
can agree with that.
And I think being able to separate the two is definitely important in that sense. And then I've played with people that I'm like, dude, like do you have like no life at all? Because there's like, I've joked about it before. Like, imagine you have 100 decks and it costs $20 to sleeve them each. That's $2,000 in sleeves.
That's a lot
right?
of sleeves.
Like, unless I'm just an idiot and I just messed up my math drastically, either way, it's hundreds of dollars to put pieces of plastic over your cards. So if a drop of water falls on them, they don't get messed up. And so early on, I ran out of colors. I'm not bullshitting. I ran out of colors, and I know Dragon Shield has all these different colors, but you also have to understand that, like, in a physical location, they only have so many sleeve colors at any one time. And sometimes you just want to pick up a box and, like, start sleeving. You don't want to order it off of Amazon.
That's true. I mean, you can get some sleeves that are a little cheaper now, thankfully. If you go for the Game Genic sleeves.
Right.
Mind you, there's only, like, 5 colors, maybe.
And so
it's like Roy G. Biv, essentially.
And so that is why I ended up dual coloring my sleeves. Because if I had one deck that was white and one deck that was green, and then another deck that was white and green, and then say a fourth deck that was black, then the fifth deck could be black and green.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
And so that was the idea behind it, is that I wanted my cards to be sleeved. But then there are people who thought that I marked my cards because they were differentially colored sleeves. Like, dude, I don't know about you, but if I have a whole system of counting cards, I'm not coming to the free game shop to beat your ass at Magic. I'm going to the fucking casino. I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah, that's
out.
True.
Like, that's
true. I mean, maybe I just don't think that way. I think is all. I also I put all my decks on Moxfield in it, so I know what cards are in what deck, and I also then label my deck boxes which deck it is. So I try to not have more than one box out at a time. I'll keep everything in my bag, and then I'll have the one deck box or the deck I'm using, and that's it.
right.
But I get what you mean. I do get where you're coming from, though. Yeah, but you are right. Like, who's gonna take the time to count their cards in a game that's meant for fun with your friends? Feels kind of petty to complain about something like that. And don't worry, I can be petty, but it's not going to be about stupid things like that. That's for sure.
And I think that's like a big thing for me with like the culture of it. Like, I know that Magic is widely known for being like the super accepting kind of space, and like if you didn't really fit in other places, like you can come here and spend time with people. That can sound great, unless you end up dealing with a lot of the people that the reason why they don't really fit in places is because they're basically like 12-year-olds who just never grew up. And so there's the ideal version. There's like, the kid-friendly version where it's like, everybody's just misunderstood and they just need a place where they can belong. And then there's the reality that's like, if you laugh like, ha 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 ha, it's fucking obnoxious. You know what I mean? And I think that, like, for me, it's the same thing as like the joke about Magic, like at a Magic tournament. The smell? Like, so it's like,
or the pull up
what?
the meme of the guy who's sitting by the larger gentleman who's sitting in the chair, and he's like sitting praying because the guy's ass crack is hanging out of his pants. And he's just praying like that. You know the picture I'm talking about?
No, but
No?
we're gonna
Oh,
I'm gonna add it
don't
on
worry.
screen.
You're gonna have to add that on screen
I
and
will.
post. But yeah, it's one of the funniest pictures ever. It's literally just a dude. It's just a larger gentleman sitting with his ass crack hanging out, and the dude's just there, just praying, and he's just making that face. It's like fucking hilarious. But yeah, I get what you mean. I do. But I mean, realistically, I play the game because I just like having fun with my friends, and it's just a good excuse to just sit back and shoot the shit with people.
And I think for me, that's like, I just naturally end up being, not even intentionally, that's the funny thing, like abrasive with people. And I think it's just that I just have high standards for the people I spend time with. And like, if I don't jive with them, then I generally really don't jive with them.
That's fair.
And so, like, I would have people, like, I knew this one dude who he started an argument with me about, like, just becoming a millionaire is not just a choice or something. And, like, the argument started by me joking about, like, the Island Boys. And he somehow turned that into, like, a real, like, so, you know, there was that thing. And there was another time when, I mean, I've told you, you know about the thing, but, you know, I was making a joke with our buddy Miguel. Mm-hmm. And there was something about, like, he didn't have a card. And, like, he had, like, a really silly, like, either, like, a piece of paper in, like, a sleeve or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know, I don't know if you've heard about this, but they have this thing called, it was, like, you know, like, Amazon or, like, the internet where you could, like, order it. You know, I was being a dick, but, you know, it's, like, you know, just having fun. Like, I'm not trying, like, you know. But then one of the people who works at the store was like, you know, how rude. You know what else you can't do online is play at your local game store. And so it's one of those things, like, when I feel like I'm being fun policed, I don't feel like, you know, the whole thing, like, oh, it's like a place where you can go and belong. Well, not if people take issue with how you are and, like, you kind of end up being the dark horse, even among the black sheep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's, for me, why it's difficult to really get into the whole, like, community feel of Magic that a lot of people have. Because I know, like one of the really well-known influencers, like the Professor, you know, on YouTube, he said that, like, he credits Magic with saving him from, like, killing himself when he had depression and so on. Like, obviously that's a big deal for him, you know? At the same time, I can't relate to that because I just, you know, there's only a handful of people that I know that I played Magic with that I really would like to just consistently play with them. And, you know, I just can't always make those pods happen, so.
That's fair.
I think the most important aspect of being able to have, like, a good pod, as it's phrased, and just a generally good time, like, week after week, day after day or whatever, is to just, like, for everybody to be genuinely honest about what they're playing, why, and to just kind of, like, just openly communicate with that stuff. Because there's the joke, what's your power level? A 7. Really? What a coincidence. So is mine. So is that Eldrazi player. So is the Sliver player. Like, so is the mono-red Goblin player and the mono-red Dragon player and the Dragon player. Like, what a coincidence. Everybody's deck is a 7, right?
Really? Oh, this is a 7, is it?
So,
or the new equivalent, because they do have they have a new system
like
of rating decks called the bracket system,
the brackets, yeah.
which is like, objectively it is in beta. I'll give them that. They've said it's in beta. It's not a final thing. It is something that they just wanted to come up with to make it more streamlined. I get that.
Not to mention
is it great?
Threads on the freaking console.
Well, I mean, that's everything that comes up on the internet in general. If it exists, there's someone giving death threats to someone over on the internet.
What is that, Rule
because
89?
People have no chill. No.
Instead of Rule 30,
it's not Rule 34, that's 34. For sure. No.
Instead of Rule 34, it's
Rule 34 is something else entirely.
But it's Rule 89.
No, that will only be on the Patreon once that starts. But no.
maybe the DOF, you know.
Somehow the podcast has returned after dark.
Hey, you gotta
even though it's nighttime right now. But hey,
you got to pay the bills somehow, you know.
Yep.
So. But I know there is the bracket system. I haven't really followed it because it's like, it's just one of those things where, and just like the power level 7, oh, it's kind of jank. In my experience, when people say that their deck is kind of jank, that's a way of explaining away when randomly one turn they just completely pop off. But it's such a strange looking combo that somehow it's like, even though it's consistent, it's jank. And I think that that's just kind of like, it's like that, oh, it's a 7 type thing where it's like man-child camouflaging your deck so that you can socially politic your way. I was like, oh, I swear, it doesn't normally pop off like this. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's the same bullshit all the time. And it's like, well, you know, my favorite phrase, to be fair, ...
To be fair.
If you have to say to be fair to justify how your deck's power level is lower than what the person just said, like 14 times every 10 minutes, you're full of shit. Sorry to bring it to you, but you're full of shit. Now, every once in a while, there's going to be that person who's just, you know, it's like, oh, yeah, this is so hard because they're just not winning, right? I'm not that guy. I don't care if I'm winning. I just care if I can play, as I said. But if you're not letting me play because you have a Blood Moon, and then you somehow have an Eldrazi, that, you know, you have Emrakul, and you have a copied version of it that's non-legendary, so you can, you know, take everybody else's next 3 turns. To be fair, eat a dick.
I get what you mean exactly by that, and yes, that is the thing, is, like, people need to learn how to be honest, first off, is my bit. If we're just talking pet peeves in Magic the Gathering right now.
Yeah.
It's like, and we'll get to my number 1 pet peeve.
Oh, yeah, we should hit that before we move
It's
on.
coming up. So,
I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
all
I
right,
know that's not the melody,
listen, Phil Collins.
but for the future, you know, we don't want to get, like, you know, copyright claimed or whatever. I'm projecting into the future when we actually have people watching us.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So that is definitely, like, pretty high up on pet peeves, though, is people who aren't honest about their deck's power levels. Now, when I say something's jank, I mean, like, something like Phage the Untouchable, where I have to jump through hoops just to get my commander even onto the field. That's jank.
Yeah.
Because I've won once with that deck ever, and it was because of some other's complete funny bullshit way of getting the win is the only reason I even got that. That deck doesn't win. I made that deck because it's just fucking stupid, and I just like stupid things sometimes.
I have a mono black Yargle deck that I have all the cards I need for. I just need to narrow it down, and the only part about it is just to be as chaotic as fuck. Like, it's just Yargle. And like,
just Yargle.
And like, he's like a 9/3, so like, he's a you know, the commander, like, he can win, right, in 3 hits. Right?
Sure, but is he just a 9/3? He doesn't have any other real effects otherwise?
He has some badass flavor text.
Yeah, he's just a vanilla 9/3 creature, isn't he?
And he is a vanilla 9/3 creature in a deck that makes no fucking sense.
I love it.
And that is what the jank is about. But yes, it's not to detract.
No, that's jank. It's things that are just random but don't get there in enough time, or the things that aren't guaranteed to win the game. We just make them because they're fun, and they might be powerful in some ways, but they're not there to very clearly be like, no, I'm gonna beat you all right now, or whatever.
We're gonna beat you off, bro.
And whoa there, sir. And mind you, I mean, and some of it, like, if you're playing at a store, power creep is very much a thing. Wizards does lean a little too much into that sometimes. That's just as much the fault of the creators. And I recognize it's also a 30-plus year game, not 32 years or so, maybe.
Still
now.
aging better than Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. But when you have a game that's over 30 years, unfortunately, power creep is going to be a thing,
right,
because you have to keep it evolving somehow. And we'll get into, like, the Universe Beyond shit.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get into my number 1 pet peeve. It's fucking threat assessment. Guys. If I have a Platinum Angel...
Who's talking to you?
A Platinum Angel.
Platinum Angel.
This shit is... a 4/4, I think. It's a 7-drop. I got this out the other day. It's early game.
Early.
I kept a really bad hand. This is like turn 4. I play Platinum Angel. I have to sack a mirror, which is a mana dork, to get him out.
Highly oppressed creature type.
Yeah, exactly. A race that's almost extinct in the lore.
Highly marginalized.
I freaking get this thing out. I'm very clearly not a threat at all for this entire game because I purposely kept a bad hand because it was funny.
You're like the dude in the corner with
sometimes
the
I do
kitchen
that.
knife. just trying to
I'm
aim.
like, instead of having an actual lightsaber, I have the Spaceballs version of it, which is just the ring with the use the Schwartz. It's like, all right, Master Yogurt. Not a paid sponsor. We just love Mel Brooks.
Yes.
But this guy destroys my Platinum Angel immediately. While meanwhile, the guy next to me has a board full of like knights, I think. And I'm like, you're fucking blowing my creature up right now because he says I can't lose the game and opponents can't win the game. That's the whole point of Platinum Angel. It's a really jank card in itself. And it's not really a problem early game at all, especially if someone else has a bigger board state than you. You don't just blow something up like that and just like start locking someone out of the game just to be a dick. And that's essentially what happened. And I'm like, fuck you. That was a terrible game because I didn't do shit. I was just trying to have fun. I just didn't do shit because someone else. And I'm glad that the other guy also didn't win. He also got completely fucked over in the end. It was fucking hilarious because it's like you get a taste of your own medicine, and I don't feel bad for you that deserving that. But like threat assessment. Please learn how to fucking properly threat assess because you can't just lock someone out of the game arbitrarily for no reason other than you just don't like what they're doing or you don't like the way that they fucking looked at you or breathed at you or something. It's like, no, you can't breathe the same air as me. I'm going to do this bullshit now. It's like, no, learn how to fucking threat assess properly, please. That is the biggest thing in Magic that makes me just irate is when people cannot tell, like, what the biggest problem at the table actually is. That, and then I guess people learning how to actually deal with the problem the right way too. That's a little more complicated though, and I'll forgive someone for not necessarily knowing how to do all of that.
Like if they board wipe instead of target removal or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Learning. But no, proper threat assessment to me, that is my biggest pet peeve is when people just do not know, and it's so wide ranging that there's so many people who don't know how to threat assess. I joke that if you're going to get into Magic the Gathering, you need to take a course on proper threat assessment. But I digress.
I can almost feel like your emotional state when that was happening. And it's just like, I don't think I can replicate it like in this situation. Mm-hmm. It's just like, I can just see the slow zoom, and then you're just like, as you are, I was, as I am, you will be. And then there's just the cryptic, like, you know, like that vibe that you're gonna like stab him in the parking lot and roll him into like a nearby river. Like, just like that level of maliciousness,
yep,
but compressed into the rules of a bunch of cardboard rectangles on a board. And you're like, I am going to kill you in game form.
Yep. You get it.
It's like, you know, you have opened the lament configuration.
Oh God.
What's the phrase? You called, we came, or what is it?
Oh man.
Someone's like, yeah,
I don't know
right now. You know what I mean?
I don't remember.
Like you called, we answered, or something like that. You know.
Is someone gonna pick up that phone because I called it?
I think, like, you know, to bookmark the end or bookend, you know, whatever, this section of it, like, I mean, the simple rule is the same rule as like most of life. Don't be a dick.
Mm-hmm.
The problem, of course, being is that nobody thinks that they're being a dick. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
social politics for you, and it just so happens to also exist in Magic. And speaking of jerry-rigging, the plot of Magic is something I'd like to discuss now in a hard left turn. This is I know that this turn is like, Family Guy. Oh, I go now? Good luck everybody else. And then just like through 7 lanes of traffic. But so as I mentioned before, I got into this in like 2022. I didn't really follow the lore then, like I didn't really care. But the cool thing for me was that heading out of that, this is like New Capenna era, right?
Okay.
I think from New Capenna it was immediately after that or before that Neon Dynasty. I don't know which one was.
Kamigawa Neon Dynasty was probably. That might have been right before it. I mean, we had the power of the internet.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
Could also just look that up.
Yeah, it was right around then, because you had Jin Gataxias or Gataxis. I always forget if it's Gataxias or Gataxis. So whatever. I don't remember. He was in Kamigawa, and then in New Capenna was. Who was in friggin' New Capenna? One of them, Eldrazi.
Neon Dynasty was also
Eldrazi,
2022. I think that Neon Dynasty may have actually been right before New Capenna.
Okay, so they were
I'm
like
not mistaken.
they were like adjacent, like lore adjacent, basically in terms of like timeline.
Yeah, pretty much. It was all in the lead up, like, to what ended up being like the major like part of that story.
And that is the thing. Like we were literally like as we were in Denny's, we were talking about like how much we love Berserk, the Japanese story, anime, manga, and we're kind of going into like how the depth of it is partially possible because of how hardcore it can go with what happens in it. In Berserk, well, it goes Berserk with the plot.
Yeah, it does.
And so I don't remember exactly how I got into it, but I became aware of the Phyrexians. And I fucked with them. Because it's so messed up, but it's also so like thematically interesting. So, like you have the different colors of Magic, which, if you're not really familiar, it's, white, black, red, green, blue. Right? That's all of them. I was half convinced I was going to remember like 4 colors and sound like a complete doofus. But then the interesting thing about the Phyrexian stuff is that even though they're like they're basically like the Borg, but like legitimately intimidating. If you really think about it, you know what I mean? Like they're like Borg zombies.
Yeah,
in a sense.
that's a pretty apt comparison. Yeah.
With frickin' AIDS. Because all they need to do is get the blood on you and it, I guess depending on the zombie mythos, like, that could work too.
The oil, which I
Yes.
guess is essentially their blood.
Yeah, the glistening oil. Like, if you get 1 drop, I don't remember if it gets on your skin if it works, but I mean, probably because, like, you absorb other stuff through your skin, so.
Yeah, I don't remember if you have to ingest it to be corrupted or not. Or
Completed?
If it
Excuse you?
to be completed. You're right.
It's very
I'm sorry.
dismissive of a marginalized group, but.
Listen.
So, but once you get that, like, you're done. Like, that's it. Like, you are now a Phyrexian. You are now one of the, like, androidish cyborg. It's hard to really say because I don't even know how to really describe them. Mm-hmm. But they're, like, living metal, super friggin', I don't even believe in evil, but, like, evil motherfuckers. But it's so deliciously, like, they just do it so well.
Yeah, they do.
And every one of their like groups are like very distinct from each other, which I also think is really cool. And maybe the last thing that I like about them from a gameplay perspective is that it's possible to build decks around them that are like thematically completely Phyrexian, which unlike the Eldrazi, does not make me hate myself. Because no, I don't like making people exile lands. But there is this big story arc about it. And then they have new sets on the way. And magically, it all comes to an end. And they were building this up through other sets. Like, they were building it up in New Capenna. They were building it up in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Even though I never saw it or played it, they were building it up in Kaldheim, too, because Vorinclex shows up in that.
Yeah, it's been going for a little bit.
So,
and then March of the Machine happens. And there's some good decks, there's some cool cards and shit in that.
oh, yeah.
But, yeah, lore-wise, it kind of just ends. And it should have went out with a bang. And it just kind of ends with a whimper. Which I think, and we'll get to that after you explain your specific issues with this storyline. But I think that kind of also does tend to go hand in hand with, like, a game that's been going for so long. Also having a lore. And we can get into that a little bit with, like, Warhammer 40k and how lore is rolled out when it comes to things like this. Because, unfortunately, much like they do a lot with, like, old, like Saturday morning cartoons, like the Transformers cartoons, for example. Beast Wars is something that comes to mind as an offshoot of this. Beast Wars is a great show, plot-wise. But in the end, it's literally a vehicle, no pun intended.
Transformers.
Autobots roll out. No, but it's literally just a vehicle to sell toys. Just like the lore and magic is just there to be advertised on what they call them the showcase cards, which the showcase cards in a set are the cards that primarily contribute to the actual lore.
Yeah, they're like the cliff
for
notes
that set
of, like,
that's happening. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, they're the cliff notes of the storyline for that specific set. So the lore is always, unfortunately, second fiddle to the game, which... Listen, we're not playing Magic for the story.
True. Yeah, no, that was very true. But I mean, since I am also an author, I do get involved. Like when it's something I care about, I get invested. When it comes to the story, it's the story. I said the story. Back home, it sounds they call it the story, not the story. Don't you know? Well, I think the thing is that there for each color of mana. For the Phyrexians, there's what's called a Praetor, which is like the big kahuna of that particular, sect of Phyrexians, I guess.
If the Phyrexians are the Mafia, and if Elish Norn is like the Don, the Tony Soprano, so to speak, then the Praetors are the family members.
Right. And they're all super powerful. And they wage a war. They basically go Nazi Germany because except they go one step beyond, plus ultra, and they go
Plus ultra.
they go completely too far, and they try to invade the entire multiverse because everybody's got a multiverse now. Apparently they had I know with Planeswalkers like Magic was doing it before freaking the MCU and all that. Or at least, the MCU, not the, obviously Marvel itself. But, so they do this whole thing, and how do they all die? Well, one of them, Shieldred, the one associated with black mana, ultimately is just executed because basically she just fucked around and found out just too many times. Like, she got punished before. She was, going against Elish Norn, and then, just... I think this happened 2 or 3 times, and then the Elish Norn is just like, no, I'm done with this bitch. And so she just has her decapitated, and apparently that's enough. And I'm not, I know that was chronological. I'm not going to claim that all these are chronological. I'm just saying the ones that occur to me. Urabrask, the one associated with red mana.
My boy.
Right?
My favorite Praetor is Urabrask by far.
Yeah, he's
because he just does his own thing. He believes in his own thing. He's got some conviction, or whatever.
He's just a chill guy,
and gets his limbs ripped off by Elish Norn.
Yep.
Because she can't have any of that bullshit with them going against her.
You're either with me.
You serve mommy,
or
my
you don't. Enemy. Yeah, the Dami mommy knows no equals.
Yeah, Elish Norn, by the way, she's for those who don't know anything about Magic lore or don't ever give a fuck. She's essentially Lady D from Resident Evil Village. she's essentially 8-foot tall goth mommy. Or if you're a wrestling fan, she's the Rhea Ripley. If Rhea Ripley were a heel.
Right, and she does not. The people, the rule stuff. Like, there's some people who want not Rule 89. Like, that's some interesting stuff.
No. That's the Rule 34 of it all, and we don't want to go there because I'm afraid of what I find.
Exactly. That's then you would be complete in a very negative sense. But the friggin' Urbask, he maybe is dead, maybe is not dead. Like, they're kind of leaving that up in the air, like what's going on with him. And then Jin Cataxius, whatever. I forget exactly how it happens, but basically, like, he's like the surgery guy. He's the research guy because he's associated with Blue. He's like, whatever. And like, it's like one pod of dudes opens up and they just eat him. Like,
really?
Like he's from Pinky and the Brain or something. Yeah.
That's kind of stupid, actually.
It's very stupid, which is ironic for the Blue thing, and I get it, like, it's ironic, but, like, ironic does not mean, like, if a legendary outlaw accidentally shot themselves in the head, like, that's ironic. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that if you had, like, a 2-hour movie that you ended by doing that. And so that's what happens with him. Vorinclex, he's green mana, he's associated with the survival of the fittest and evolving and all this other stuff. Remember, these people are made of, like, the strongest metal in existence. They're, the top of the top of the top. He gets decapitated by some dude with the sword. Not a legendary dude.
Wait, who kills Vorinclex?
I don't know.
Is it a non-named character?
I think the character gets a name for killing him, but by all means, look it up.
I gotta look this up because I can't remember.
It was not anybody big. It was, like, the most, like, minuscule of characters, which, again, I get it. It's, like, ironic because it's about this huge, like, grand evolution, right? And then he gets killed by this minor thing. But, okay, but this minor character was not using, like, the special blade that they brought to be able to cut through a praetor's, like, armor or something. He's just some person who just attacks him. That was incredibly stupid. And then the last one being Elish Norn herself, and her one is the only one that makes sense. She gets beaten by the angel planeswalker character that she had been afraid of to begin with for some
Was that Elspeth?
Reason. Elspeth, yeah.
Okay. It says some random knight named Shella killed Vorinclex, which is kind of stupid because it's not a named character. Yeah, March of the Machines lore-wise was not handled very well. It should have gone out in a much more epic way. Like, and if I were in charge of it, I would have made, like, and I'm really hoping they can redo this in, like, some kind of, like, maybe animated show someday. Do the Phyrexian invasion, do all that shit, but end it right, and actually make each praetor get a well-deserved or earned death.
Right.
But it seems to me that we don't even know if they're even all truly dead. I know some of the Phyrexian oil does still exist, too. They're probably going to bring them back anyway at some point. It's Magic the Gathering. It's just like in comic books. The only people who stay dead are Bruce Wayne's parents and Uncle Ben.
And even that's not true because Bruce Wayne's dad comes back as, like, the owl or whatever. Yeah, that's true.
And even in the new Ultimate Spider-Man, because Marvel started their Ultimate Universe, and then that Uncle Ben is actually alive. Him and J. Jonah Jameson actually have their own, like, kind of underground newspaper that they start, which is actually pretty cool.
Huh. But I think that it does bring it around to, though, right, like what you mentioned earlier, where why? Like, why did the writing go the way that it did with it? And I think that the simple answer is what you've already talked about, the game. Mm-hmm. And when the lore is subject to how the game works, it's one of those things where ultimately, like, I have a bunch of Phyrexian decks. I'm not going to stop building them just because, like, the lore was not, like there's still cool stuff in the lore, too, and all that other stuff, like making freaking Vraska Phyrexian who then completes Jace or, like, infects him. You know what I mean? Like, that's, like, that's kind of a deliciously evil kind of thing, which is perfect. But then, you know, the lore can be what the lore is going to be, but at the same time, like, there are people who've, like, they've been in Magic for, you know, like, 2 decades or something like that, or more. Mm-hmm. And for them, the lore is, like, you know, it's I'm not going to go so far as that it's like the Bible, but, like, for them, it's, you know, a comparable reference, right? Mm-hmm. And for stuff like that, a lot of it just seems to be very convenient in terms of the writing. And I know that it's kind of more of an afterthought. It's more of like a way to make stuff make sense. But it's just unfortunate that given that they want there to be a lore, that they still kind of chunk it up in that sense of, oh, we have a new set coming out? Well, we can't still have the gigantic multiversal invasion. We gotta be done with that so that we can take him to, I think it was Eldraine that they went to first after that. It was something like that. It
was like Wilds of Eldraine, yeah.
And then Thunder Junction.
And Aether Drift, because let's do the Wild West, and then
don't forget
for some reason, racetracks.
Don't forget about the detectives.
Karla Manor was not a great story lore-wise, but there were some good cards in it.
Yeah.
I actually really like Duskmourn, but that's because I like the flavor of the set. It's very 80s horror-inspired.
Yeah.
And then the next set, Edge of Eternities, is Space.
Right.
Which is a little weird, maybe.
Considering it's Magic.
You know what? The Blind Eternities are a thing that have been established, so it isn't, like, out of nowhere, at least. So I respect it. And some of the art in this next set is awesome. Yeah. If you're into, like, old school sci-fi, there's, like, some special arts that are, like, these cool, like, pulpy, like, 40s, like, 30s and 40s looking, like, movie posters on some of the alternate arts. I'm assuming those are collector boosters, and they're probably going to be way too expensive for me to care about, but it's there for you if you so choose to spend your money.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I guess it also in a way like kind of segues to like the idea of like Universes Beyond and so on too, because I think this is one of those things where it doesn't bother me definitely as much as it bothers a lot of other people, because for me, if I don't care about a set, I just don't get it.
Yeah,
like
same.
Do you buy every single precon for every single set that comes out? Like, I doubt it.
At this point, I've actually stopped buying precons a lot because it's more fun to build your own decks and to come up with something that you created or put together.
Exactly.
And then Universes Beyond, inherently, I don't find a problem with it because, I mean, I know a lot of purists out there are like, oh, especially now it's legal and standard.
Hashtag,
they're like, why are you doing this? No. It's
hashtag
like,
not my magic.
Are you going to keep a game that's been around for over 30 years? How are you going to keep it fresh and interesting without them having to go that route at some point? Like, it's like no great band sells out because they want to give up being punk. Green Day didn't give up being punk by selling out. They sold out because they made money because they started making a fucking better life for themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing actually inherently wrong with quote-unquote selling out. I actually have a book that we could probably discuss if we ever do music called Selling Out.
Oh, we will.
And it's about how punk musicians get big. Like, it's about pop punk, essentially, and how it's not actual punk, but it's like you're missing the point, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, because things go over people's heads so easily.
Well, the funny thing is, we didn't even have this in the list, but this does bring up a big aspect of like the politicking of the fan base. And I mean, I know you kind of mentioned the idea of the fan base, but you know, this isn't real Magic. Or one big thing a lot of people complain about is that like there's a new set coming out like every month, and there's this, there's that. But at the same time, a lot of people, like, they get the collector boosters. And, I mean, I hate to burst your bubble, but the collector boosters, like, they just look cool.
It's
like, they just look, that's
not
literally,
wrong.
that's all you have to it. It's, for the most, as far as I'm aware, there aren't any special cards in them. Like, ones that are, like, actually like a completely different set that's exclusive?
There's not. No. There are certain arts you can get only in collector boosters, but other than that, no, you're never going to get a unique card that's only going to be found in this one pack of 10 cards that's going to cost you like $30 for a pack or more or less depending on the set.
Right.
But no, there's zero, and I encourage you, do not buy collector boosters.
Oh man,
Buy
Professor Junior is already here.
Buy regular play boosters and buy them from your local game store. Okay? Don't buy collector boosters. Don't give Wizards that money, because Wizards doesn't deserve all your money. They are just much a company like everyone else, and they're not there to support you having fun. They're there to make money. They're owned by fucking Hasbro.
Or just, buy the singles or get a freaking 3D printer. Whatever it is. Like, do whatever.
Or proxy if you need to, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you could write it down on a freaking piece of paper and then put it in a sleeve if you really wanted to. And, it depends on who you're playing with. But I think the thing about it is, again, like, people, they want to control it. Because if you think about it, just because 12 sets come out in a year, and I'm not saying 12 sets come out in a year, but I'm making a point, does not mean you're obligated to buy every one of them.
No.
And I think that's, like, the thing that sounds the stupidest to me is when people's like, why are there so many sets? Like, just don't buy it.
They have to release product. They release sets because that's how a company stays afloat.
So
all it is just economics.
So, I mean, you're going to complain, it's like, oh, they're rushing this thing, and then they're done, and they're going, like, I understand that maybe people are, like, nostalgic about another era, but it also doesn't change the fact that you want less Magic cards? What?
No.
Like, and even, like, in one point that I've heard before is, even with all the Universes Beyond stuff, because one criticism has been, they don't want time put into Universes Beyond is time taken away from, like, the main Magic set. But even just looking at main, prime line, whatever, Magic sets coming out, there's still more than there used to be. And so it's just one of those things where, I mean, gamers in general, whether it's video games or, established fan bases for other things, they generally tend to be, entitled. Mm-hmm. Right? Because, again, if there's nothing forcing you to buy the set, nothing forcing you to buy the pre-con, nothing forcing you to buy the collector boosters or this or that, well, you just don't get it. And I don't get why people can't just grasp that, especially when the people who are buying everything anyway and then just complaining about it, well, again, they're a business. They don't care if you complain. Mm-hmm. If you buy as much as you did before, but you complain more.
And half of a game like Magic, because it's a game, but it's just as much a huge part of it is there's a gambling aspect to it. Because when you're cracking packs open, you don't know what you're going to get. You're literally taking a bet on that you're going to get a good pull, if you care about it that way. And then, in all honesty, like, companies like Wizards of the Coast bank on FOMO being a huge thing for people. Mm-hmm. And FOMO is, like, I'm going to tell you right now, FOMO, it's all in your head, guys. It's all in your head. Also, if you really want some actual justification, literally Universes Beyond sets are being printed into Standard, and Standard is good for like 5 years. You're not fucking missing anything, so stop thinking that you're missing out on anything.
And so I think, it just comes back to, like, people, like, the reason why I stopped going to the store to play is because I just accept that people are not going to change how they're going to play just because that's, like, I want to play the way I want to,
That's
like,
fair. And I get it.
And I think that's a matter of responsibility is that, like, if you don't like the cards, if you don't like the set, if you don't like that the set is just, they put different hats on them this time, don't fucking buy it.
Yeah.
And, like, that's the only way that they're going to listen anyway. Like, that. So, the same thing with, what were those packs called? The pack line, where you would pay, like, 3/4 the price of, like, the normal packs, but you would get, like, half the amount of cards. They tried doing it with,
the March of the Machine Aftermath packs.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like the Assassin's Creed boosters that were smaller.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what happened with them?
That didn't work out well.
And what did they not try to do?
That again. They stopped.
So it's like,
they immediately realized that those cards were not good, or it wasn't worth doing that. It should have been just part of the main set. And then they learned their lesson from it, and they moved on.
But that's the thing, is that people, they had to vote with their wallets. And I think generally what people do is that they whine and complain and all this other stuff, and then they buy anyway.
Absolutely.
And then Magic, the Wizards doesn't care, because you still bought, right?
Yeah.
And so, to not beat a dead horse any more than we already have, it just is what it is when it comes to, like, what they're releasing. And I think when it comes to the Universes Beyond, well, I mean, I guess to touch on, like, part of the issues that people have with it is because, if someone just played a deck against us that was all just, like, different animal turds, first of all, it would be funny, right? But, like,
what?
You would get tired of it. And so, like, I can relate to that aspect of it. Like, I'm the flavor guy, right? Like, I have 100 decks, not because I am because I have the Power Glove. It's so bad. Like, I'm not like this super cool guy. I like variety. I like the different flavors. I like the different themes. I like building, the decks, like, with the same commander, but two wildly different decks. And it's still, like, I don't want to play against SpongeBob. I don't want to see Sonic, so I can relate in that sense. And
SpongeBob Yoda Pants?
Anyway, point being that I get the aspect of wanting to play a game that has things that look like or the things that you want them to look like on the whatever. At the same time, like, I don't know if you don't stop it, because the series that they're putting in there, they're picked for a reason. They know a lot of people are going to buy. Like, you're not stopping it. Like, sorry, but they care way more about the extra money that they're making from the Universes Beyond releases than they care about the fact that you don't get your particular Magic. But I do relate to the aspect of, like, not wanting to have, like, an actual real life Teletubbies set. Which, that's not going to happen because they wouldn't make enough money. But the point being is that, I don't want them to have Teen Titans Go. I don't want...
That's fair.
The Animaniacs. Now, if you want to do, like, a proxy of it, I think that's super cool. Like, I knew a dude who made Slurm McKenzie from Futurama.
I love it.
As his alter for Toxrill the Corrosive.
Oh, my God.
And so, like, but, that's awesome, right? Doesn't mean I want a Futurama set in Magic. And so, like, I can relate to that. I guess the only thing you can really do with it, though, is just, like, I think you just kind of deal with that one. You just take the L on that, because people are going to play Ryu. People are going to play Optimus Prime. And you're not going to stop it. So unless you literally have, like, a pod rule, like, which... I mean, hey, if this is what your pod wants, I mean, that's why you know who you're playing with, so you can just agree on how you want to do it. Same thing as, like, there's a format of Magic that you only play it if it's, like, X years old. And older.
Yeah, you just, like Legacy or something.
Yeah, you just rule 0 that bitch. And that's, like, I think that's the only way you deal with Universes Beyond, because it's not going anywhere. It makes way too much money. And honestly, there are decks that I built from things that are Universes Beyond. I'm building a Hojo deck right now from the mono green Hojo.
Oh, I was wondering if someone would build a Hojo deck. I thought about it, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
Someone I know will. Glad to hear that you're building that.
Exactly. So it's like, it's just one of those situations where life goes on. I don't know what to tell you.
Very true.
So it just is what it is. I mean, I think one interesting aspect to me, well, actually probably a more direct adjacent thing is, for the people who, haven't already checked out because we don't hate Universes Beyond, inevitably the question does kind of come up, what sets would you want? Like, what do you want? What is your sets? What is your sets?
Full set. We're doing full sets, because they did just do the Sonic the Hedgehog Secret Lair, which thank God some local game stars are able to get. I'm definitely getting that, because I grew up with Sonic the Hedgehog. I can't help it. I say Power Rangers is my number one set because Hasbro owns Power Rangers.
Okay.
And now I don't know how much of the Super Sentai thing is going to get in the way of that, but I feel like that's probably one of my number one things because I feel like the mechanics are there already in the game for it to easily just be copy and paste.
Top 5.
Top 5? Oh, God. All right, well, we're doing... All right, Power Rangers number 1.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be.
These are no way any other order. Power Rangers is the biggest one I would personally want over anything else right now. But if we had to choose, I'd say maybe One Piece. I know there's a card game already, but just roll with it. Because pirates are also already a type 2. Oh, man. DC, because we're doing Marvel already, you might as well throw DC in there just to say that they did it. And who's this? You can't tell me that you don't want to build a fucking Batman deck.
I wouldn't build a Batman deck, but I would build a Joker deck, and I would build a Bane deck, and
Exactly.
I love my villains.
I'd probably build
Brainiac or Mordok.
No, not Brainiac would be Izzet though for sure. I think I'd build like a Scarecrow deck.
Okay, yeah, no, I'd fuck with that.
Also, because Scarecrow is also a type in Magic the Gathering, believe it or not.
A very weird.
Not a type that works very well because there's not much support, but it is a type.
Same as gargoyles.
I'm not sure. Man, after that it gets a little tough. I guess we could get into some real weird routes if we really wanted to. I'm going to say... Oh, man, I don't know.
Do you want me to hit mine? So
go ahead and hit a few of yours. I got to think about it.
I'm not going to buy you much time because I actually thought
go
of them
ahead.
so that I wouldn't feel like an idiot. So the first one, Berserk. I mean, dude, it's right there. It actually fits with like the more medieval stuff. There's so many characters that just go perfectly with it. Like it's just it's
fair.
adjacent. Like I think that would fit in so well. I don't know how many freaking white cards you're gonna fit in there though, because there's not much happiness that goes on. But you know that's the card design.
Well, I mean,
you can still have like Griffith and like
I was gonna say you can make Griffith
like Golden Age cards and stuff like that, and like kind of like build it up and like the happier moments and yeah, I can see that. Because Griffith would be mono white. Because he did nothing wrong. Anyway.
I was going to say, is there going to be a Griffith did nothing wrong reference in that set?
It's like, dude, it's me. There's always going to be a Griffith did nothing wrong. There's always going to be a metaphor involving Nazis. Like, I don't know. I got to tick the boxes.
And then something to do with causality because as dictated by causality.
You know, it just is, like, I can't do it.
It's the way it is. Yeah, you can't. We can't control what causality does.
Exactly. Skull Knight, you know. So Berserk, definitely. I would say Gundam, with the understanding that it would be kind of challenging just because of how many freaking series there are. But you know, we have spaceships now. We can do Gundam. Like we have all the other vehicles and everything like that. You know, we can make it work. This is probably going to be me, and I know it would never happen. But Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I love that show. It would be
That'd be dope.
It would be Buffy / Angel, you know. But it's just, I just love that. Like that's probably my favorite live action series of all time. Like I couldn't split between Buffy and Angel, but you know those ones. I'm kind of outing myself as an anime dude here, but wait a minute. I did freaking Berserk, then I did Gundam, then I did Buffy. Okay, so the fourth one. I think Attack on Titan would be a badass set.
Okay.
I think it would really fit with it. The Titans could be an interesting kind of type. The mobility gear thing could definitely be like some kind of mechanic. You know,
That's
the shifters,
true.
like the shifters could transform. You know, like whatever. Like, you know, like I definitely think that could fit in. As much as people would hate it because it's an external IP, and I get it, but you know, I think they could definitely fit in with it. And then the fifth one. See, it's tough because like I could say Devil May Cry or Metal Gear Solid. The problem is that both of those things have freaking guns, and for some reason, You can have cyborgs, you can have spaceships, you can have all this crazy shit. You can have the servos and everything, but you can't have guns. Like, okay, hashtag not my magic again, I guess. But, you know, for me, that's kind of dumb. So I guess for the fifth one, just so I'm not taking up more time, Baki?
Okay.
Like, that's kind of like a ringer. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a peculiar one, but I mean, shit, if you can do Street Fighter, you can do Baki. And I think Baki, like,
That'd be interesting.
I think that the aesthetic of Baki could fit better than Street Fighter has in that sense. At least that's...
Oh, you know what? I just thought of a set playing off of Street Fighter. If we're talking fighting games, how about Mortal Kombat set?
See, that's, yeah. No, that would
be dope. I think Mortal Kombat actually would be legitimately awesome.
That would be epic.
That would be my fourth then, let's say. And then a fifth one? I'm trying to think of another like video game series maybe or something. Or you could just do something based on like just a random weird topic or something.
Some people...
No, you know what? Honestly, I'm going to kind of cheat a little, but only because this is such a big thing. Bring back 40K and do
fantasy
decks based. No,
okay,
bring back 40K specifically, but do decks based on the races that weren't covered.
That would work.
You could do the Tau, you could do the Orcs, but there's definitely stuff from 40K that wasn't even touched on the first time around because they only did the precons that you could easily do if you just do a set of precons. Just do the races you didn't cover yet.
True, yeah. I mean, you have, the Eldar, the Drakari, which are like the Dark Eldar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's probably the fourth deck is the Eldar then. So probably Tau, Eldar, Orcs, and like fucking...
That's the funny thing, like there's...
Maybe the Adeptus Mechanicus?
That would be cool. I think
that could be a deck.
They messed with the Imperial end of things because Adeptus Mechanicus, Custodes, Astartes, Imperial Guard, Astra Militarium, whatever, Sororitas, like, there's so many armies that were wrapped into the Imperium one, which I get it, like, you had to fit it all into one deck or two decks,
you could do
whatever.
Just the Ultramarines.
Yeah, dude.
As a thing.
I want, and I mean...
Like, give me Guilliman Reboot, or I think that's his name.
Reboot Guilliman?
Yes. Give me Guilliman as a commander. Probably be Ultramarines, probably blue and white, just because of their color scheme.
Yeah, no, I mean, that would fit
honestly, that would fit perfectly. But yeah, give me Guilliman as a fucking commander. Hell yeah.
Dude, I would want...
Give me the space. I want to make a Space Wolves deck, damn it. Give me fucking Space Vikings.
This guy likes his Vikings. Yeah, this guy likes his Vikings and his so on. He wants his where's his, what is it, the thing of mead? What is the container of, like, I don't even know.
Oh, it's just
pint of mead or something like that.
Yeah, it's just my freaking, whatever the big-ass mug that they carry is.
Speaking of, I would want the Night Lords. It's like, while we're talking about specific legions we would want, but now now we're just Warhammer 40K nerding out, and some people just, like, skip this whole section, but, you know, they can, you know, be...
That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, welcome back. But
we still love you.
Yeah, he still loves you. I tolerate you. I mean, it ties in, like, if you don't want to play, like, a given, like, archetype within the game, you don't have to. That's why I don't play freaking merfolk. I don't play dwarves. I don't play Eldrazi, but Eldrazi, I mean, I love their flavor and so on. It's just, you know, really hard to make a deck with them that's not necessarily... I'm not going to say OP in terms of competitiveness, because, I mean, if you can't play the 12-cost creature, then you can never use the 12-cost creature. But, I mean, there's obviously the ways to get them out and everything. But I think the aspect of... when it comes to, like, the social impact on Magic, one thing that's definitely shown up before is, like, the social pressure of, like, people being uncomfortable with stuff. So, for example, like, there's the one thing where, like, they changed the name of, like, tribal to kindred. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, I think you said it earlier, like, kindred sounds cool. Like, and I think kindred sounds cool, too. and I have no problem with it. Like, if someone calls it kindred, I'm not going to be like, oh, right? At the same time, I just know that there are going to be the people that if I say tribal around them, they'd be like, I thought 2022, like, it's called kindred because we want to avoid marginalizing the groups. Like, dude, me referring to a group of creature types in cardboard rectangles, it is not going to make slavery come back. It's not going to make girls lose the right to vote again. Like, it's, we are not, the police are not breaking down your door and enacting martial law because I said tribal instead of kindred. And I think that's another aspect to it, which is funny because we mentioned the not the outcast thing, but like the people who don't necessarily fit in other social situations, like they find magic is a place to be. But the problem with that is that it's very difficult to avoid being hypocritical when a lot of the people who end up doing that insist on their own version of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable.
I get that.
And like I've mentioned to you before, like I ran into that issue at the shop that, we both went to and that you still go to. And it's just one of those things where, and I'm not going to go into a whole like philosophical, ideological rant or whatever, but like nobody owes you anything. And I mean, I guess it's, the statement necessarily kind of like contradicts what I just said, but I'm not going to have a whole spiel about it. But like nobody owes you playing this way, playing that way. Like if somebody plays like a complete dickwad, like you just don't play with them again, right? Yeah. Because the best form of removal is player removal, and the best form of player removal is player denial, is game denial.
That's accurate, honestly.
That's the cool thing about it. Like if you think about it, like people will try to politic their way out of saying like, well, I only promised I wouldn't attack you, not that I wouldn't make you lose life, like that shit. But have you ever actually seen someone like say I'm going to do this and they just flat out don't do it? Because of all the assholes I've dealt with, I don't think I've ever dealt with someone who just said I'm not going to attack you next combat and they attacked me next combat.
Yeah, I don't usually deal with people who are quite just openly an asshole like that.
Yeah.
But I get what you mean.
Yeah, and I guess the point of it is like,
and this isn't a knock on like any one store by any means either. This is absolutely something that happens just in public in general.
Yeah, I haven't gone to a bunch of different stores just because I'm like not interested in doing so. But the owner of the store, I think he's a super cool dude. I think the store is a great place to go to and everything like that. Like it's not a knock against the store. It's a complaint about like a certain way that some things have been handled by not the owner. But I mean, it's people, it's personalities in an environment. That's just what you're going to run into it, right? It's the same thing as like high school. You
go to any game store, you go to any social setting, it's just people.
And that's why I think like the whole thing of, magic is being a place for people to be able to find, to belong or whatever. Like it sounds nice, but again, like just because other places weren't the place for you doesn't mean that there isn't something it doesn't mean that you are never the asshole. And when it comes to things like kindred versus tribal, or one big thing that popped up was when they did the Lord of the Rings set. And I know they didn't have the rights to the people from the movies. Like I get that, even though funny enough, like some of them ended up looking kind of close to them and others looked very different. When I watched Lord of the Rings, like my introduction was from the movies. I know people say the books are better. They're not. You just liked them more. Sorry to burst your bubble on that. Like that's the reality of like the books are always better. No, they're not. Like read Fight Club, read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, like read The Great Gatsby. Like no, that's just rose tinted glasses compared to the movies. Like I said, and when it comes to being able to like just relax and play and so on, I just think that you can be as serious or as unserious as you want to be, but I like being able to make jokes and not be around people who are going to just like, that's so ignorant. Like if I'm going to say, like if I think something's dumb, I'll be like, man, that's so fucking gay. Also, I know numerous gay people who I get along with great and who are some of my favorite people. I don't say that's gay because I'm a homophobe or blah, 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 blah. I say that's gay because I've heard it used many times in the past. I grew up saying that something that was dumb was gay. And that's just how I fucking say it. I know, like, I have gay pals who would say, man, that's so fucking gay. You know what I mean? And
that's funny.
Because nobody's going to give them shit about it. You know what I mean? And I think that's the whole thing where it's like, where I take issue with the whole notion of, oh, hey, you can be like an outcast and you can come here and you can belong. Like, I'm sure that they're, like, obviously store to store, group to group, pod to pod, like, that can be 100% true. But at the end of the day, you know, if you have people who they don't fit in elsewhere and they're coming here because they want to be able to, like, move the goalpost and define a new normal and say, like, this is how it should really be, you know, then they're really just creating a problem somewhere else. And then, you know, so, I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it. I know that I don't really have any chill when it comes to such things, but I'll stop my monologue
I get
now.
what you mean.
Like,
no,
what do you think?
I get what you mean. Honestly, I mean, I don't know. In the end, it's a game that I play to have fun with friends, that I shoot the shit with, and, I mean, humor is a very subjective thing, and we'll get into this in the future, too, about comedy and how well-respected or how misrepresented nowadays it is, too. But in the end, it's just a game that I want to play and have fun with my friends, and whether that be at a store, be at a friend's place while I'm sitting around a table, getting high with my friends, and just fucking talking over the kitchen table or something. It doesn't fucking matter. It's a game that is meant to just have fun and to just not take so fucking serious, because there's way too much out there that's absolutely serious enough that, like, you play this game to get away from that bullshit.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, it comes back to, and I know that, like, for a lot of people, I mean, I raised myself on fiction, and, like, I get that it can be incredibly personal, and what I think I was trying to get to before I, like, went on a tangent and, like, lost my train of thought was, like, but, like, because I started talking shit about, like, people who say that, like, books are always better. So for me, my Lord of the Rings is the movies. Like, that's what my greatest experience has been. I finished Fellowship of the Ring of the books, and then I got into Two Towers, and it's just, it read like Stephen King novels after he got popular, and, like, people stopped trying to edit his stuff. Like, yeah, it's great. Also, like, we don't need these 13 pages to talk about this random menial bullshit, is my feeling. Like, I know that, like, there are plenty of people who love that amount of detail, and more power to you, but, you know, it's not me. And so, but for me, like, as I was watching them, dude, Aragorn was my man. And like I said, I raised myself on fiction. It's because I grew up with people, but nobody raised me. Like, I didn't have, you know, I don't come from an environment where people were grown up enough to know how to raise someone. And so, like, a lot of my frameworks of how you should be a human being came from fiction. And Lord of the Rings is one of those, and so is Aragorn. And I get it. Like, he couldn't look like Viggo Mortensen. I don't know what the Dunedain, or however you say Dunedain, whatever, you know, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how to speak Elvish. I mean, it is kind of cool if you know how to speak Elvish. I would want to know how to speak Elvish. But point being, and be able to curse at him in Mordish, or however you would say it. But the Viggo Mortensen Aragorn is Aragorn to me. Just like Chris Evans Captain America is Captain America to me. Anthony Mackie, I mean, Captain Falcon. I think it's a hilarious idea. He's originally called Falcon too in there, and it's like, it's just, for me, like, the and I know I'm not trying to be on a tangent, but, like, the Chris Evans Captain America is Captain America to me over the comic books Captain America. So before some rando on the fucking internet tries to say that I'm just being a fucking racist, like, no. I'm pretty sure OG Captain America is about as white as you fucking get.
Oh, absolutely is.
But he's still not Captain America to me. Like, I know what he looks like, but he just, it doesn't connect.
Yeah.
For me, whereas the Chris Evans one, like,
it's context. It's all about context,
right?
Like most things are.
Exactly. So it's, for me, the Lord of the Rings thing being like the people looking drastically different than they looked in the movies, and if we cut past the bullshit, it's probably, as they were described in the books, the generic inclusion stuff just annoys me in that sense. When it comes to something like an established IP, where, you know that the main reason most people know about Lord of the Rings, the reason Lord of the Rings has a big enough fan base that the set released to such acclaim, it's partially because of the book, but it's heavily because of the movies and the games and everything. And so it makes, I just think it's dumb when it's arbitrarily made so that this character is going to be this character is going to be that. Not for any, legitimately artistic reason, but just because, hey, this person might feel this way or that way. I don't feel that way about, the main sets. Mm-hmm. I don't care if the random dude who's, in charge of the kingdom has fucking dreadlocks. If he looks cool, he looks cool. I don't care if the Amazonian is, the leader of this, But what I do care is when you endgame it, and you have Spider-Man just randomly show up in the middle of the battle, and for some reason the only people in frame for 1,000 feet is just a bunch of fucking superhero girls so they can have their stupid-ass girl power moment. This is
that
the finale.
Forced,
yeah, this
honestly.
is so fucking forced. And it was the finale of the finale of the finale. And they ham-fisted that stupid shit in there. So, I guess the thing about, trying to, force... I'm not going to say social agendas because it sounds so, such a generic buzz phrase. But, people forcing what they want to be in something, not because it fits the thing itself, but because they want to say, this is how it should be.
Right.
Is obnoxious to me. And ironically, that's exactly what so many people end up doing when, if you just say, yo, dude... for me, Aragorn looks like fucking Viggo Mortensen with long hair. Mm-hmm. You're racist. No, I just like Viggo Mortensen with long hair.
Right.
Is my Aragorn. He's the person I got to meet. I don't... So...
Not like Denzel Washington in a crown. And it's wait a minute.
Well, Gladiator 2, I haven't seen it. But, dude, if Denzel does anything, he's gonna fucking kill it. It's Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Also... assuming this all happens in Rome and all this other shit, why is a fucking African dude the king of Rome or something now?
I don't think his character's the king of Rome in that movie anyway. I think it's something else.
Okay, so that's why I mentioned, I haven't seen the movie yet. And, look, if you put Denzel Washington into actual Rome, I'm sure somehow he'd become the king. Or the Caesar, right? Kaiser, however you want to say it.
But, it wouldn't make sense historically, but...
Yeah, it's Denzel Washington. But point being, I think that's the thing that ruins it for me, is when stuff is arbitrarily ham-fisted into things, because you can make good characters and not make it shoehorned and so on. And I think for me...
Yeah, and my argument for a lot of those things, as far as forcing moments like that, is that instead of trying to find ways to arbitrarily put things into that, make something new that is going to be great and going to get people thinking hey, this is something new. It's not a reboot of something. It's something that feels natural. And make new stories based on that. Do more of that. Stop just being lazy. Because when it boils down to it, shit like that to me is just lazy writing. And that's the number one crime you make as a writer, is when you just want to be lazy about shit. Instead of just actually using your fucking brain that you were born with to make something new, which is what you should be doing. And the whole other topic, that's another reason I fucking hate all these Disney reboots too. But that's another episode.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's examples of them doing that stuff decently well would be more like Vraska, more like friggin' Elspeth and Liliana. And it's you can have the character be badass, and yes, she has tits. I mean, I guess a lot of girls, generally have breasts, but point being, it's
Yeah.
yeah, that is pretty
I mean,
common.
I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?
I meant to pass that ticket on to my support team, but it's, it's. I think it's like you said. Like, it comes back to just don't be lazy and then just try to dress it up in some kind of social nonsense in order to because then again it makes. The reason why all this stuff ties into what we're talking about is that it makes it necessarily political. Mm. And by political, I mean like social, like divisive over opinions on macro-focused movements and ideas and so on. And
Agreed.
at the end of the day, the point is that it's a bunch of paper rectangles, and we're supposed to be able to sit down at a table and enjoy turning them sideways and saying how they work and like the people we're at the table with, right?
Yeah.
And that can't happen if, like, dude, like, there are times when, like, the Ashiok? Mm-hmm. Like, I called it, like, I called the card, like, a her or something. Mm-hmm. And there's the same person who tried to make the whole argument about becoming a millionaire when I talked about the Island Boys. It's like, I think they identify as this, like, they're a fucking piece of cardboard, so they don't identify as shit. Technically, it's a legendary planeswalker, Ashiok. If you really want to boil down to what the card type is, that's what the fucking creature is. And, like, I just, I want to be able, like, how many times have you had a dude who had, like, 5 different chicks, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to swing these guys at you. Like, they're not saying that they're not girls, it's just, these cards are attacking you. You know what I mean? And I think that, like, if you can't leave your political, your social, political, ideological shit at the door, then it becomes impossible to just sit down, shuffle up, and play. And that is why it becomes that's
not a sponsor.
Exactly, no, not a sponsor. I'm sure he would disagree with a lot of the stuff I would have to say, but hey, that's why I'm proud to be an American. Released to know I'm free. And I'm not messing up the melodies by accident, by the way. Like, I'm just trying to avoid the whole copyright thing. So that's going to be like a thing. Like, in like 2 years, we're going to have just like a 2-hour compilation of us just singing melodies incorrectly to avoid copyright strike.
Just off kilter, just enough to be like, no, it's not that song.
Exactly. It's going to be like the bass thing to the chain. Bum. Ba ba bum ba da 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 dum dum. And now that you have your musical nightmare fuel, I think at the end of the day it just comes back to like just finding out like what you need to do to just sit down and enjoy the time you're playing with who you're playing with. And
Agreed.
And if that means that you are going balls or clit to the wall, balls or tits, I guess, I don't know. Associated sexual organs to the wall. To imply heavy amounts of effort and intensity and commitment, then that's how you have fun.
Yeah.
Right? And if the way that you have fun is by building a deck around a dude who's like, the imaginary lore is that he's just a deadbeat dad, and eventually he kills himself if the freaking child support is too much, well then obviously the other 3 people in that group probably should be able to hear that as a joke rather than be like, there are people who have been through so much. It's like, well, I'm not the person to play with. There's nothing wrong with me wanting to make that joke, and I'll try to say that there's nothing wrong with you for wanting. No, I can't do it. We're not going to be a good fit for the pod, right? As you can tell, because whatever. But I think if you know where you stand with the deck you built, the reason you build it, who you want to play with, what kind of game you're looking for, and whether you want everybody to have a good time or if you're just there to show up, plug in the turbo controller, and just
I'm gonna play solitaire
and frickin' Rikishi, like smother people with your ass, like
my god,
like teabag them and disrespect them because I'm the winner.
Jesus
First
Christ.
of all, get a life. But second of all, and of course I just said, it's all about like, different strokes for different folks, but that also means that I can, have an issue with that, and welcome to civilization. But, segueing back into, Magic the Gathering, I think it really just does come back to, ironically, just not being a man-child or, woman-child, whatever it is, and just being able to be a person who wants to play a game. And playing with other people who want to play the same kind of game as you, and just having a good time.
I agree.